Welcome back, Keepers of the Flame. Okay, one more thing about detoxing. Learn to be alone. Learn to be sovereign on yourself when it comes to particular things that you do to bring about your creativity, to release some of that pent-up mental, emotional, spiritual, whatever it is, energy. Learn to create things from yourself without anyone else's outside influence. That's one of the initiation process that a lot of Aborigines typically have for pretty all people in their tribe. They go through an isolation period. They go through an initiation where you are taught a skill of some sort, and then Sophie's gonna switch the camera for you. So you're taught on how to do those things for yourself in your own sovereign way. And this doesn't mean numbing out. This doesn't mean like video games are outside influences. Reading books are outside influences. I know, for people that are like me, what? Yeah, it's somebody else telling you how to live, how to be, how to exist in the world, when you should be figuring that out for yourself. So typically those things tend to be getting out in nature, working with nature in some way, shape, or form, whether you want to do garden work, whether walks in the woods are important to you, walks out in nature, even if you just go out and, you live in a city and you walk through. But there's a lot of natural cafes popping up and whatever else, and that's not really alone time. But you can go there and sit there in a quiet corner and journal, hopefully. That's now becoming a thing where people are connecting in their own sovereign way to the things that actually sustain us, the things that actually, bring life, and a process that we can actually physically see of life, death, and rebirth, right? So that way it takes that fear of death away. And that also, like, when we don't honor and understand the cycles of life, we're not going to understand on any basic level how to cope with them. If we can't see them, we're not going to be able to cope and deal. That's why, do you just want to come in the lampage? Oh, see, all you had to do is ask. Okay, so it's an understanding that this is how life actually works. It's just a fact of life. You can't avoid it. There's no stopping it. There's no denying it. You can live in a better way. You can make better choices for your health. Those are things you can control, and focusing on those is important. But connecting deeply with yourself, not denying yourself who you really are, because society comes in and says, this is who you are, this is who you're supposed to be, stop being that way. These are things that are inherently your sovereign right. Your power as a human being here on this planet is to find out exactly who you are, so that way you can do the things that you need to do while you're here. That's the whole point of the whole thing. It's doing exactly what calls to you in whatever way, shape, or form that takes. And it rarely has anything to do with an outside authority coming in and saying, shouting down to you with a big finger, saying, if you don't do this, there's going to be blah, 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 blah. We have systematically created that for ourselves, and it keeps us in a very unevolved, hateful, fearful, ignorant state. So it's a matter of the harm to none. Back to that whole idea is the harm to none. And some people are still not really understanding what that means. People think that because their butthole gets lit on fire by something that somebody else said, that entitles them to try to change what they said. See, if we just learn to stop subscribing to people, to stop listening to people, to stop watching people's Netflix specials, if we just take that attention away from them and shift it elsewhere, they're by default going to have to reflect or at least fall away. So if you know that there's harm being done, just take your time and attention elsewhere. Take your resources, take whatever it is, and just go elsewhere. If you know that there's harm being done, pick up all of your resources, all of them, and direct them in the direction where your values are held sacred and respected. That's all you have to do. You don't need to start whole wars over it. Yes, it's important to understand, but you don't need to be like calling to arms anybody. That's a weak person's stance. That's a weak person's call. Add value to your own life by actually physically getting in contact with yourself. Being in your own body, being in your own skin, being in your own mind for long periods of time. So when people threaten you with that, you're like, I'm good. I need to keep my values. Cancer and Pisces both had values, values, values. Keep your values. Whatever it is. It doesn't have to be based on anybody else's either. It doesn't have to be based off money or power or the illusion of power. I think it's weird that people keep saying power. I don't think we know what that is. Power is a thunderstorm. Power is a hurricane. Power is a tornado. Power is something that's just a force of nature that you don't get to control. You have no say in. So you don't get a say in it. And we need to treat each other like we're forces of nature. Because that's what we are. She could, like, at some point, reach up and claw my face off. Because that's in her nature. But we've come to an understanding that she just swats me in the mouth like that. In a playful manner. You see what I mean? Like, it's not, it's an internal, like, trusting of yourself that you're going to give this internal power over within yourself. Not because someone's, like, pointing a finger down at you, demanding it, but because you feel safe and sovereign. Because you've made that internal connection. Now you can make those external connections. So being alone, learning how to be alone without being lonely. Okay? And this, you can incorporate animals into that. That's absolutely freaking, that's totally cool. Even if you live with other people, you can still learn to be alone with yourself, be sovereign, and not feel like I need to call this person, I need to do that, I need to have this interaction. A lot of times that need is driving the toxicity. A lot of times that need for constant, continual attention and interaction is where those destructive relationships stem from, is because we simply cannot bear to sit alone with ourselves and preoccupy ourselves, get ourselves straight, think about what we want to think about, do what we want to do. Find out and remember who we really are. What did we like to do as a child? What actually brought us authentic joy and bliss? Those types of activities. And yes, that does mean coloring books. Look. Ooh. So, astrological coloring book. It's not out of the question, kids. It's not out of the question. So, again, holding no shame, no whatever it is around that, no objectification as to what the outside people think. Don't let them do that to you. Remember who you are. Remember what lights you up, and then go do that thing. It's harm to none is being, like, is the most important thing. I mean, like, if you really think about it, if it's not hurting anything and somebody else has a problem with it, that person probably needs to do the same thing that you're doing, which is just going inside and finding that authentic self, which is, again, where a lot of jealousy and envy come in. People create these facades and whatnot of being rich and powerful and weird and whatever else, and they're not actually happy. They're very, very unhappy, and they probably going to continue to be unhappy. And there's nothing we can do about that, but we can find our happiness. We can find our own authentic place in life, okay? And there's nothing wrong with looking at something and saying, hey, I kind of want to be more like this, but then I like this aspect of that type of person, scenario, situation, or archetype, or whatever it is. But then work to get there, rather than doing the weird thing of tearing everything down. Again, that's that toxic state that we have to have that constant interaction with. So if you just, like, keep it sovereign and keep to yourself a little bit. Now, this doesn't mean you don't stick up for people's rights or your own rights or whatever it is. I'm saying that you learn to be in an authentic form with yourself, with no one else around to validate you. Okay. Now, there's the shaman journey where they go off into the woods and whatever else and be alone. And homeless. They are homeless. That's the shaman's journey. People are like misusing that word like nobody's business. And people who do have homes that people like, and then society comes in and calls them the S word, they get so bad. So just, you know, stop. Okay, so words are power, kids. Words are power. I know we like to live in a society where, you know, bullying is acceptable. Verbal abuse is totally okay. You should be able to just take a freaking joke. And to a certain extent, that's kind of true. If you are with people who you trust and they are just trying to call to your attention, hey, did you want to fix that thing? Or do you want me to just keep harassing you about it? That's for an intimate, related, close, connected bond and relationship. Now, I would go out on a limb and venture to say that the bullies are looking for that authentic connection relationship, but they have no clue how to get there other than razzing people. Which, whatever. That's a video for another day. But learn how to be safe, sovereign, and doing your own thing. Doing your own thing. Whatever. You want to make soap, you want to make your own tea, you want to grow your own whatever the heck it is. Just, you want to grow plants that make a particular dye so you can do tie-dye. I don't know what it is that you want to do. Whatever lights you up like a Christmas tree. Go on the internet and explore. God, help me, I'm going to... Pinterest is great. Like, they have DIY stuff. You can tweak it, bend it, switch it up, make it your own. Step into that Queen of freaking Pentacles energy and just rock it. Okay? She's a do-it-yourselfer. And just because it's a she, doesn't... feminine energy exists within all of us. So if you're a man, you can tap into that creativity all by yourself. Totally doable. How do you think we came up with all this cool, like, stuff? Because men get creative, too. Like, men came up with some cool things in history, and so did women. And we need to understand that, like, that energy flows through all of us. It's not delegated to one person or another. It just is. It's just there. It's a part of who we are. It's nature. So... And the cat just stole the dog bag. So, remembering that it's okay to be alone. It's okay to play hermit for a while. It's okay to be there. And you stay there however long you need to stay there. However long it takes. Whatever it means for you. And that inner love will spring forth. And you'll be like, okay, I kind of forgot what a different, unique person I am. I do have these attributes that I can capitalize on. I do have these strengths and these wants and these needs that actually are serving me. It's just society keeps coming in and tells me that they don't. And that's the real travesty of it, is we just live in this totally polluted place where everybody's telling you, look, if you're not like this, you're not okay. If you're not like this, you need to be changing it. If you're not like this, you need to be totally different. If you, you know, take this medication, do this exercise, lose that, gain that, you know, put plastic in there and whatever it is, right? It's constant bombardment of society's standards. And whoever the heck decided this was okay. We all fractals in this vast ecosystem, and we need to start honoring that. And we might be able to get some place that we're not going to be vetted off the planet. We might be able to do that yet. I'm starting to get a little encouraged. I'm starting to see that people can maybe think rationally and make good decisions based out of genuine like understanding and knowing and wisdom rather than fear and ignorance. So, right. Did you hear about those train wrecks, lady? I did hear about them. Oh my Lord. Oh my. Really? That's the best option you could come up with, is just spill it everywhere? You couldn't get another tanky thing to come and suck those things out of there and just haul them off in a truck? Because the cleanup was going to be too much or something crazy like that. I don't remember. But I was like, if this is the epitome of our intelligence when we are facing toxic waste, that we're just going to leak it out. We're just going to, I was like, oh, that's not a metaphor. So this is why being alone with yourself is so important, because then you can solidify those core values, and then you're not going to be tempted to go against them. You're just not. It's not going to happen. You'll be like, that right there, not for me. That over there, not for me. But like this right here, totally for me. You're just going to know instinctively. And you're not going to back out. And you don't need to do it respectfully. No spank you is totally acceptable. You can totally say that and get away with it. It's not, you don't need to be like, Now, if it's an authority figure, my Scorpio 12th house stellium steps in and says, you know what? Far be it for me to say, but you might be an idiot. Because it happens. It happens so often. And you're just like, what? And then you're like, where did you go to school? Because, like, whoa. Yeah. So just, I think that's so important and that helps with the detoxing automatically. It helps with the detox of, like, the fear porn and the weirdness and just, you know, if you just do all the things, it's all going to be okay. But you have to do all the things. If you don't do all the things, then it's all going to crumble. So, no, I don't think that's the way it's supposed to go, kids. What that does is it shifts all the responsibility onto a few shoulders that are like, I guess I got to do all the things now. And then, like, everybody else stands around and does nothing because they don't have anything to do while the one person gets overloaded. I mean, if that's not the epitome of the entire system at this point, it's ridiculous. So instead of telling yourself either I'm going to do all the things or none of the things, pick one thing and just do it. Pick one thing or pick a few things, whatever it is. Okay? And then, like, work with these. And if it could not be in the matter of, you know, causing physical harm to someone else or taking it, that's probably a better decision too. There's nothing wrong with learning how to, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a great process, physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and even spiritually. It's a great process, but it's not going to bring you that sovereignty because, again, it requires interaction. So when I say do something with your hands, it could be picking up a color and just coloring a book. It could be like going to the store, getting wood or whatever it is. Learning how to construct, learning how to destruct, learning how to line the toilet with caulk. Or not the toilet, but the tub. The tub. Toilets don't get lined with caulk. Don't do that. Learning how to do, like, basic stuff. I just pictured somebody getting caulk happy. Don't do that. But it's just, it's an understanding that, like, if you can get to work on something that's not, A, engaging with outside sources of any sort, B, you can get good at your own accord, freaking go out and do that thing. Freaking go out and do that thing. No, I'm not advocating you go out and collect bones, but, like, you know, we probably, if we would have just let Jeffrey do his fucking thing, you know, we probably could have had a cure for bone cancer at this point. But no, he had to go out and be socially acceptable. So just left him alone in his freaking hole with his bones. Anyway. Done venting. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna go enjoy this glorious, beautiful, magnificent day because the birds keep calling me. And I'm tired of telling them no. I'm coming. It's gonna happen. Pinky freaking